Okay, so in this video I'm going to take a look at mutate, and we can find that available here in the R for Data Science textbook, and I'm currently on Data Transformation Chapter 5, and I'm going to come down here and take a look here at mutate. Okay, so there are certain verbs that are available in the dplyr package for R and RStudio. And mutate is an interesting one. It allows us to introduce in a new column, and we can take this column to be a function of other columns. Okay, so to set up our data again, I'm following strictly in line with the R for Data Science, and I have the code here in the console. So perhaps I'll just clear out some of the data that I have here and just maybe look at the process again cleanly. So flights run, and the flights here appear. So this is the flight small, is the original flights was 336,776 flights from the New York airports, LaGuardia, New York, and JFK, and we would have had 19 variables, or 19 columns. Here we have the same, except now we've reduced it down to 7 columns. And which columns have we set out here? Well, year, month, day, departure delay, arrival delay, distance, and airtime. And if I go back into the console, what we're trying to do is, again, if we had to do this in Excel, this task would be quite onerous because the data would be quite burdensome. The size of the data is quite clunky. To streamline the process, we can subset out. So using the select verb from the dplyr package, we can subset out a number 7 of the columns, relevant columns, and then we can mutate and we can create a new variable, gain and speed. Now to take a look at mutate for a moment, mutate, we can come into, again, we're looking at R for Data Science, Garrett Grolemund and Hadley Wickham, and Garrett has a video clip here set up in YouTube that explains most of the verbs related to the dplyr package. So I've gone to the section here in his video that relates to the mutate verb, and what mutate allows us to do is, let's say we have existing data and we want to produce a new column. The way we can perform that action is to employ the dplyr verb mutate, then come down to storms, which is the name. This is the dataset storms, and then we create a new variable ratio by taking the ratio of pressure relative to wind in each of the respective cells to produce this new column here. So mutate, again, if we were to do this in Excel, it's fairly straightforward. However, in using the data set of 336,000 values, that would be slightly cumbersome. Also, when you run this type of estimation in Excel with 336,000 functions, that takes up a lot of RAM and data. Probably not the best use. In RStudio, it's much more streamlined. So again, to effect this, so we've already run flights. It's posted here. Small flights, we can take a look at that in the RStudio viewer. Then mutate performs the action flights. So again, basically what we have is the existing, so the variables from the existing columns from the small flights subset. In addition, we have gain and speed added on. Okay, so we can see with this mutate flights small, I take this object and then I add two new columns. Gain appears here and speed appears here. Now, if we look at the mutate, it will not affect this verb here, doesn't affect the original object here. It just affects the tibble. So the mutate flights, so on, only appears here in our tibble. The new column can be used for the new calculation. So we can take the mutate flights, take the gain, if you like, take the hours. So the hours divided take the airtime divided by 60, and take gain per hours equal to gain divided by hours. Okay, so the logic here, if you go back into R for data science, data transformation, come down here to mutate. Okay, so note that you can refer to the new column as you've just created. Okay, so we have the hours and the gain and the hours. So we have the gain, hours, and gain per hour. So when we run that segment of code, we have the gain, the hours, and gain per hour. So that allows us to add in additional column of data, and we can use existing or the new columns to produce yet again a third column. And the benefit here is this is quite seamless. Also, to set this up in Excel, this would take a lot of memory. And this is a nice, clean, efficient way of generating new columns as functions of existing ones, and even from these new columns, generate in this instance a third column of data that may provide some kind of key element of information that you would like to discern.